Okay. You don't have to look at the camera. You can just go ahead and look at me.
All right.
Pull up my questions. And let's just start off by having you tell me your name and your title.
All right, my name is Gregory Kreis, and I am the presiding judge of the Humboldt County Superior Court.
Got it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Minnesota. I first came through Humboldt County when I was probably 12, 13 on a family trip. Actually went through the redwoods and was enthralled by them. I then came back here in 1990 when I moved here to go to Humboldt State University. I lived here from 1990 to 1995, and then moved away to go to law school and went to law school. Got my first lawyering job, worked that for 7 years. I was worked for a private office that had the public defender conflict contract. So when the main office had a conflict, it would go to our office. So I worked there for a little over 7 years. Then I was hired by Kevin Robinson, the public defender at the time, come up and take a murder case, and he hired me on to do that. And I was at the Humboldt County Public Defender's Office for 2 years. Then he promoted me to supervise the conflict office here. I did that for a little over maybe 5 years. I think it was 5. And at that point in time, I applied for this job for appointment with Governor Brown. And that appointment process where you give 75 to 100 references, personal business references. The Jenny Commission is what it's called, the Judicial Nominee Evaluators. They send out an email to attorneys you've practiced with, attorneys in your current county, I think in your past county. Everybody has a chance to anonymously put in any comments, any concerns they have why you shouldn't be a judge, or that type of thing. So you do that, you give all the references. The Jenny Commission meets as a whole body. They make a decision to refer it to the governor's office. Governor's office then reviews it. I then interviewed with the governor's office. And after that interview, the governor appointed me, and that was in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, so that got me into this position. 2018, there was an election, and nobody ran against me. So when you're a judge, if no one runs against you, then your name doesn't even go on the ballot. You just resume your position that next January. Went to Humboldt State University here, and as I mentioned, I studied sociology. I was a social science major with an emphasis in Native American studies, ethnic studies, psychology, and sociology. So when I left here, I knew I always wanted to come back in some capacity. So I was able to do that in 2010 when I came back up and did that. And now I've been a judge since 2017.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've held this position since 2017?
Yes. Yeah, I have.
Got it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about why should people vote for you?
Well, first and foremost, I have now had extensive training as a judge. I've worked as a judge since 2017. I have been honored to be on committees for the Judicial Council, and what that is they ask the judges from around the state if anybody wants to serve. You put in an application, and I've served on 3 or 4 of those boards. Tribal State Court Board, which really was helpful because I'm also doing working with the tribes in Tribal Wellness Court. We're actually trying to add on another tribe. Hopefully this week they're going to come see what's going on. The Trinidad Rancheria wants to be involved in this wellness court. That experience, I think, gets me to a point where I am the most qualified person at this time with the most experience. And for all accounts, other than a handful of people, I think everybody believes that I'm doing a good job. Judicial Council, in continuing to appoint me to commissions, they apparently feel I'm doing a good job. Because I know it's hard to pick somebody, what judges do, but with my years of experience and really the positive impact I think I've had on the courts as a presiding judge, as an assistant presiding judge, basically my whole term I've either been assistant or since 2017, or presiding judge. I worked with our presiding judge, Judge Heinrichs, got us through blackouts, brownouts, then we had COVID, and I was able to help lead the team through COVID to keep the courts open. We were here, not everybody, but I was here, and I think Judge Heinrichs was in the court every day during COVID. We tried to minimize staff, minimize judges, so they'd come in at different times, just trying to keep access to justice going for the community. And I think that has been one of my big pushes, is access to justice. COVID, as hard as it was, has now opened that up. So it's given us more tools to try to get people from our rural counties to be able to be involved. So for those reasons, and that I understand the role of the judiciary, a judge can't decide who's charged, how they're charged. Judge has to follow the rules as to sentencing. So we don't get to just think we see a problem and just do whatever we want to do. We have to follow the law. We have to listen to both sides. And I've now had, since 2017 to hone that. I haven't perfected it yet, but to hone just allowing people to get into the courtroom, say what they need to say, determine what's relevant, and then listen to the other side, and the same thing. And I tell people that when they come in. I can listen to both sides, so don't interrupt each other, don't talk over each other. And I think those experiences and trying to assist in court, trying to help people through, all of that has, I think, really set me up to continue to be the judge.
Got it. Thank you. Why are you running for this position?
Well, so I was raised with a sense of community service. My parents were in public education. My dad was a teacher, then he was a social worker, a counselor. My mom worked for the school system after my brother and I got a little older. And she started as an aide and then worked her way up and was the head secretary of a middle school. Was their union rep, and I just saw my parents passionately trying to help other people in those systems, and they instilled that in me. That's what made me, when I was at Humboldt State, become interested in civil rights law, and then Native American studies, because I think it takes a village, and I wanted to be a part of that village. I wanted to work with folks that needed help, whether it was tribal people that were looking for assistance, representation for government affairs, or then it became helping folks that have been charged with a crime by the government and trying to help them through that, make sure their rights are being respected, and at the end of the day, getting into trial court to represent them. So this was kind of the next step for me after over 14 years of helping people without money, mainly, work their way through the system and help their community. I've been a part of this community, broken up 90 to 95, which is great. I remember a lot of old stores, people that have been around here forever, and then came back in 2010, and I feel like I really have a sense of the community. So I would like to continue being judge to help continue to work with and for this community.
Got it. Thank you. What are some things that you will bring to the community if you're voted for again?
What will I bring to the community? Well, I think as a judge, what you bring to the community is a promise to be fair, a promise to listen to the community when they're in front of you. Judges are limited in what they can do outside of the community, whether they can sit on boards or not, and because it is such a small community, that can create conflicts, so we can't hear cases. So what I have learned is that I am definitely going to go to more events. During this election, the upside of being challenged when you're a sitting judge is that you get to get out into the community more. You get to see people. You get to meet people. I just went to NAACP soul food dinner over the weekend. I had not been to that before. I've been to parades and that, but it was just great to be there to meet folks. I knew a handful of folks that were there. I've been down to meet, Chamber of Commerce down in Fortuna. I've got to do a lot of fundraising dinners for, where I just go. It's not my fundraiser, but I just go and have dinner to help the local community. So as a judge, what I offer and what I will continue to do is make sure there's access to justice, make sure that people can get in front of the court and be heard. And I have done that as a judge, and I'll continue to do that as a judge.
Got it. Thank you. So you have been accused of a couple of things. One of them I read was sexual harassment, and another one was you were accused of making anti-Semitic comments. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I can say limited. I have an attorney. There is a full hearing that will take place with the CJP, I think. Hasn't been set, but I think that's the next progression of this. So I'm limited as to what I can say. What I can say is that the allegations of my anti-Semitism, right, that case was dismissed, and it was dismissed because the insurance company that paid for my attorney said they didn't want to pay any more money, and that they made a settlement offer. I didn't have to pay a dime. There was no admissions made because I did not say that. I made no anti-Semitic comments. We were on a boat on a lake. Kids were being pushed in. I was being pushed in. I pushed people in. It was a fun time, and the evidence that's out there is that I think the total witnesses were 13 on a very small, like pontoon boat, and everybody agrees that just didn't happen. The individual who has accused me had a good time. Testimony is that he was having a good time, and then actually there's evidence that they wanted to come back and do it again. It wasn't until he was fired 7-8 months after the lake that he then went to the police and said I made anti-Semitic comments. I'm assuming he said that because he was advised at some point that if you do that you can get attorney's fees, because I don't see any other reason why he would do that. As to all of the other allegations, all I can say is I hope that people, when they fill out their ballot, realize that I am the most qualified, experienced person for this job, and that the people that are making these, it'll come out in the hearing that all of these folks have a bone to pick with me. And I look forward to that evidence coming out at a CJP hearing. I am disappointed that this wasn't handled much earlier, months before the election, or to wait right after the election. I'm not sure why the timing was, came out the exact same day that the absentee ballots came out. That's concerning to me, but it is what it is, and I will have a chance to confront those witnesses, and they'll have a chance to come in under oath and tell whatever story that they want to tell.
Got it. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about yourself to the viewers?
I just would like to say, I would love for you to go to my website. That's www.reelectjudgekreis.com, and look at who's backing me, look at my history, and most importantly, I have been vetted by individuals I worked with, individuals on all capacities, and personal references who know me my whole life. And when you see that, and you see that all of these allegations could have been made to the Jenny Commission, could have been made in 2018, it wasn't until there was a lawsuit against me and the shark smelled blood in the water is when all of these things started to come up. So I just ask people to put that aside, decide on what you know about me and what a judge I've been, and then make another decision after you hear the evidence, so I have a chance to be heard. because I think that's the most important part, is that there's always two sides when you're a judge. I give that to people in my courtroom, and I expect that same, I guess that's the same thing for myself, is that all the people will listen to both sides. And right now I've been put in a position where I can't fully talk about the other side because I have a hearing coming up, and my due process rights will be addressed there. So I just ask everyone to vote for me with your absentee, time's running out, or to go down and do it on March 5th. And I really appreciate the time today.